When the Roman legions marched out of Britain in the early 5th century, they didn't just leave behind roads, villas, and ruined forts. They left behind a power vacuum. What followed was not peace, but a brutal, century-long struggle for survival. A war fought in broken cities, misty hills, and burning villages. A war between the Romano-British, heirs of Roman Britain, and the Anglo-Saxons, warrior migrants from across the North Sea. This was the war that decided who England would become. By the year AD 410, the Roman Empire was collapsing under pressure from all sides. Rome recalled its legions from Britain to defend the heart of the empire. For nearly 400 years, Roman rule had provided professional armies, law and administration, roads, forts, and cities. Now all of it vanished almost overnight. The Romano-British people, who were culturally Roman but ethnically Celtic, were left alone. No legions, no imperial protection, only local warlords trying to hold together a crumbling society. And enemies were watching. Across the North Sea lived Germanic tribes, Angles, Saxons, Jutes. At first, they didn't come as conquerors. They came as mercenaries. According to later sources, Romano-British leaders invited Saxon warriors to help defend Britain against Picts from the north, Irish raiders from the west. But the plan failed spectacularly. The mercenaries wanted land, not payment. And soon, they turned their swords on the very people who hired them. What began as defense turned into invasion. This was not a clean, organized war. There were no legions facing armies in open fields. Instead, Britain descended into raids, ambushes, burned farms and abandoned towns. The Romano-British still fought in Roman-style formations when they could. They had cavalry. They used old forts and city walls. The Anglo-Saxons fought differently. Small war bands, fast, brutal attacks, seaxes, spears, and shields. Village by village, the Saxons pushed inland. Cities like Londinium and Verulamium fell into ruin. Roman Britain was dying. But the Romano-British did not disappear quietly. They fought back. Later medieval writers speak of a great British victory, the Battle of Mount Badon, around the late 5th century. Here, the Anglo-Saxons were decisively defeated. And at the heart of this story stands a shadowy figure, a war leader, a Roman-trained commander, possibly the man we now call King Arthur. Whether Arthur existed or not, resistance certainly did. For decades, Anglo-Saxon expansion stalled. Britain had not fallen yet. This was more than a war of swords. It was a war of identity. The Romano-British spoke Latin and Celtic languages, were Christian, lived in towns and villas. The Anglo-Saxons spoke Germanic languages, worshipped pagan gods like Woden and Tunor, lived in rural settlements. As Saxons conquered land, culture followed. Christian churches were destroyed. Roman towns were abandoned. New pagan kingdoms rose from the ashes. Britain was being transformed. By the 6th and 7th centuries, the tide had turned permanently. The Romano-British were pushed west into Wales and Cornwall, driven north into Cumbria and Strathclyde, or absorbed into Saxon society. Anglo-Saxon kingdoms emerged. Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, Kent. These were no longer raiders. They were rulers. Roman Britain was gone. England had been born through war. The Romano-British versus Anglo-Saxon wars shaped everything that followed. The English language, the borders of England and Wales, the legends of Arthur, the foundations of medieval England. This was the true Dark Age, not because nothing happened, but because so much was lost. Empires fell. Peoples were displaced. and a new nation rose from the ruins. All because Rome walked away. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Britain's forgotten war, like, subscribe, and comment, and tell us which period of history we should explore next.